Yes, 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 baby, this is what I was waiting for. Ahmed Best is back on the screen and back in our hearts. He just gave an interview to StarWars.com talking about his return to Star Wars and his role as Jedi Master Kelleran back. Just a quick love letter to Ahmed Best. I don't know if you understand that this truly will go down as one of the best cameos in Star Wars history. If you take into account maybe in all franchises altogether, one of the best, I'm not going to say the best in all franchises, but it was such from a left field. Who saved Grogu has been such a question mark for years and years. Remember, Mandalorian came out in 2019. So this question has been about 4 years now going on, and the answer was given in episode 4. The actor who played Jar Jar Binks is back as Kelleran Beck, who saved Grogu from Order 66. Now, as you will see in the interview, it's pretty heartbreaking, it's pretty chilling to see that this actor in particular went into such a depression mode, so low from all the criticism. I could only imagine, me as a YouTuber, I get some comments here and there, but imagine the entire world, all the Star Wars fans in the world criticizing you back when there was no real internet per se in 99 to when the internet became popular and you still were getting heckled. This is, I think, what you will take most out of the interview. This will hit you hard because it did to me. You will understand that Kelleran Beck for a moment might not have been a reality. And honestly, who could blame him? Who could blame Ahmed Best for telling Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, no, I'm not coming back? The last time I played something in Star Wars, I almost was driven to unalive myself. Then you go into Hayden Christensen, how badly he was criticized as well. Jake Lloyd. Like, there are actors that were kind of destroyed by Star Wars. And it's great to see that now they are slowly being redeemed. I mean, Hayden Christensen is just beloved everywhere. And now that he came back for the Obi-Wan show, that everybody met him with applause. We loved it. But I gotta say, I'm extremely and much more hyped for Ahmed Best to come back than Hayden Christensen, because his story is much more touching, of course, in my opinion. So just as the episode released, Ahmed Best spoke to StarWars.com and he gave out this interview. I took this insert to kind of showcase how he felt before the episode's release and how he felt when he was approached. He said, "Honestly, I had to think about it. I've been in the Star Wars world for such a long time and my story is such a roller coaster ride of emotions. So coming back to Star Wars wasn't an easy decision for me. It wasn't something I could have immediately said yes to. I did have to marinate it over for a bit. I mean, I was excited. I don't think people really understand how much I care about Star Wars. Like, I really care. I really care about the storytelling, about the mythology, about the fans. I really want Star Wars to deliver, and if I become an obstacle to that, then I shouldn't be in it. I don't want to be bigger than the story. I don't want to be bigger than the mythology. I want to contribute. I want to add to it. So it took me a minute." And then later, he goes on to explain that it was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau who ultimately convinced him to come back. Of course, the visionary that is Dave Filoni, I know that deep in his mind, he understood the mistakes that George Lucas made way back in the day, especially with the prequels. That's why the Clone Wars is such an exciting and great TV show. Even up till now, people still watch them because they kind of fixed the prequels. Everything that George couldn't include, Clone Wars fixed. The reason why we love Clone Troopers is because of Clone Wars series, not because of the prequels. And so he knew how to bring Ahmed Best back, how to revive his career and his character. Now, I gotta say this to defend the nowadays fans versus the older fans. Nowadays, I see nothing but love for Jar Jar Binks. Even though back in the day, people hated him, I grew up watching the prequels. I was a kid when they came out, and I loved the prequels. I had nothing to say against Jar Jar or anybody, any character in that. And so I never understood, of course, the Jar Jar hate when I grew up and understood storylines and arcs and the tonality problems of the prequels. They definitely have that. But if you're comparing the original trilogy and the prequels, they are completely different, and I think that's where Ahmed Best got the worst. People expecting the original trilogy and getting the Phantom Menace, which was a completely different thing. But again, Ahmed Best is beloved nowadays. I mean, Jar Jar, nobody has bad things to say about Jar Jar. Me, myself, I have created fan fictions about Darth Jar Jar. I love the Darth Jar Jar theory, so much so that I truly believe to this day that George Lucas had original plans to make Jar Jar the big baddie. But Jar Jar is beloved, and now Kelleran Beck. I mean, what have you got to say bad about Kelleran Beck? He handled himself graciously against every clone trooper that came against him. He saved Grogu, as we can see, and he is probably going to meet with epic moment Jar Jar Binks next. He took the Nubian cruiser. I made a video about it yesterday. Here's a short snippet of what I said there. By Kelleran Beck saving Grogu, he believed that he is securing the future of an entire species. By his logic, Yaddle disappeared years ago and during the Phantom Menace era, and Yoda was perhaps killed in Order 66. He didn't know that Yoda survived. Therefore, Grogu is the only one of his race to be alive still. That's why he is particularly keen on saving Grogu. At this point, we know that there are other younglings that Darth Vader killed inside the Jedi Temple. We know that Reva was alive trying to escape the Jedi Temple as well during this time, which I suspect Kelleran Beck knew this. And how do they escape? By using the Nubian starship, the personal starship that Padme used, and one other character, Jar Jar, the Naboo representative, used during the prequels. This suggests a link between not only Padme but Jar Jar as well. And how fantastic, how crazy would it be that these friends, quote unquote, that are going to help Kelleran Beck and Grogu, that they are traveling to, are going to be Padme and Jar Jar. At this point in the story, immediately after Order 66, Padme is still alive. Remember that in Revenge of the Sith, it still took some convincing by Obi-Wan for Padme to actually understand that Anakin had turned evil. Therefore, there's a short amount of time where Padme is still alive until she dies after her encounter with Anakin on Mustafar. But I don't think Padme is really important in this storyline. I think that who Kelleran Beck will meet will be specifically Jar Jar Binks. Think about it. Ahmed Best is up for redemption. This is what Lucasfilm has been saying with this episode. Ahmed Best has come back after all that backlash from the prequels to be redeemed now as a Jedi hero, saving one of the most important characters in Grogu. And who would be the best person to wait them on the other side? I believe that they're traveling to Naboo. If that person is Jar Jar Binks, and Ahmed Best played both Kelleran Beck and voiced Jar Jar Binks as well, that would be the most magnanimous moment in Star Wars history. Just think about how crazy and how beautiful of an arc that would be to this entire Ahmed Best story. For years now, we have been clamoring for more information on Jar Jar's future. What happened after him, after the Empire took over? We don't see Jar Jar in the original trilogy. We only have a reference in a book about him having completely failed. How beautiful of a closure would it be for us to see Jar Jar do the wrong thing in episode 2 and giving emergency powers to Palpatine, but in the end redeeming himself after Revenge of the Sith and helping not only Kelleran Beck survive, but Grogu as well. This is why I think both Kelleran Beck and Grogu are traveling next to Naboo. I hope we see that in episode 5, and they're meeting with Jar Jar Binks. Of course, leave all of your thoughts down below in the comments. I would love to know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.